Hey, good afternoon or evening, wherever you happen to be watching from right now. Let me adjust a few things. I hope that everyone, well, depending on where you're watching from, is staying warm. Big old winter storm. It's kind of moved through the United States right now. And I've heard people in Britain and Scotland and everything like that, and Germany talking about how cold and snowy it is there. I guess the only potential place that people might be watching from that it's not snowy or cold would be in Australia. So yeah, here's somebody got 11 inches of snow here in KCK, Kansas City, Kansas is what I think that probably is. Because I got some people from Missouri, from Pittsburgh. Oh, here's somebody, nice 7-point. He's an 8-pointer. Yeah, mainframe 8-pointer. Shot that deer probably 4 years ago, I think. Killed him on my family farm, which is why I ended up doing a head mount on him. He's not the biggest deer. Like normally, that's not a deer that I would mount, but there was kind of some, I don't know, special significance to it. It's the farm that I grew up hunting with my grandpa. So, and I killed it not too far from the place where he killed his very last buck, the last season that he hunted. So anyway, yeah, had some sentimental attachment to that one, which is why I got it mounted. Let's see. Oh, we got history in your hand in here this evening. So, somebody walking for history from Regensburg. Yeah, I just watched. So this is a new YouTube channel, and somebody gave me a heads up about it, and watched the very first episode on their channel, which was in Regensburg at a German cemetery, and it was quite interesting and made me wish that I had stayed in Regensburg, however you say it, a little bit longer. So yeah, so there you go. There's another, if you're looking for another channel to check out, there's one right there. I don't know if he lives in Germany or what the deal is there. But if he lives in Germany, there's a lot of potential there. Yeah, I'm seeing everybody's weather reports coming in. Got somebody coming in from Montreal. Anyway, if you were just watching World War II TV, I apologize. When I set this up, I didn't realize that Paul's live stream would be overlapping with this one. So he's doing something on. He's got a guest on there talking about the SAS. It was really, really good, and I hated to walk away from it. But anyway, got a little hot chocolate brewed up here. This is a mug that my daughter picked up on our Route 66 trip this past summer. Oh, here we go. American living in Germany. So there you go. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure what your name is or anything, but I'm looking forward to more content from your channel. Like I said, that first episode was really quite interesting. So anyway, had a live stream the other day. Typically, I don't do live streams this close together, just because I simply don't have time. But yeah, we got a lot of snow and ice piled up outside, and it gives me a little bit more time to do stuff like this. So the story about the Route 66 sign back here, I picked that up when we went on our Route 66 trip this past summer. Oh man, it was one of the first stops that we made. It was the museum in Pontiac, Michigan, Pontiac, Illinois, and it's the Route 66 museum that I show on the channel, and um, I, we go through the museum, and I wanted to purchase some things, so I purchased like a stack of cards that had oh my gosh, what's that artist's name? Crud. It's the name's escaping me now. I'm in a World War II Pacific mindset right now, so it's pushed out all of my Route 66. Waldmeyer. Bob Waldmeyer had a lot of his art. I bought some of that, and they had that sign there, right there. So I purchased that as well, and ended up using it as kind of a little bit of a prop all down Route 66. All right. So yeah, anyway, we'll just kind of chat about anything and everything here today. If you have any questions, I'll answer them the best that I can. It seems like there's quite a few people in the chat today. So if I miss your question, it's not personal. I'm not like purposely like ignoring you or anything like that. So here's somebody. Greetings from Florida. First year is snowbirds. Planning on any more Old West content? Yeah, absolutely. So my Old West content in the past has kind of been cursed, especially where it concerns Native American history. One of the very, very first videos that I shot was at the site of the Sand Creek Massacre. And when I got back to edit it, the wind there was so incredibly bad that day that it blew out the audio. And so I ended up not even using it. And then there's some videos where I go out to like Badlands and some places like that. I can't remember what numbers those episodes are. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, sorry, I got distracted by a text that just came in. I was planning on going to the site of another massacre that took place at Wounded Knee, and the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation was closed off. That was during the COVID stuff, and if you were not a member of the tribe, well, white guy like me was banned from getting onto the reservation ground. Like they had a checkpoint set up and they wouldn't let me in. So anyway, but yes, I do want to get back out there and do some Old West type stuff. Yeah, good question. Oh, let's see. Wish other people loved history as much as you, man. Yeah, I love it. I genuinely do. So some people have commented before that, you know, what they like about the channel is like my enthusiasm that you see. I mean, that's not fake. It's the real deal. If I didn't have a camera, I would have the same reaction. Well, you can ask my wife and kids. It's, you know, when we go on vacations and stuff like that, it's the same way. But anyway, how does it feel? Oh, it's a privilege. It feels very surreal because I'm doing things now that I never even dreamed. Like this whole YouTube channel was a complete accident. This was nothing that I planned at all. But yeah, it's definitely humbling, and it also gives me a better understanding and a better appreciation. Where I really kind of realized that for the first time was Gettysburg. So I read books on the Battle of Gettysburg and things like that. The first time I went was kind of a bit of a cluster. It was with my family, and I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. I just kind of drove around the battlefield. But once I got there and was like actually walking the ground and seeing the terrain and seeing how it kind of undulates and it's not just, you know, a flat pancake, it gave me a better understanding of the battle. And that's true anywhere I've gone. Let's see. Did you ever visit Battle of Yorktown Surrender Field? No, I have not. Somebody was asking me about the American Revolution the other day, and if I'm going to hit some more sites, I might try and hit like one site or two this year, but next year for the 250th anniversary Declaration of Independence, I'm planning on hitting some revolutionary sites pretty hard. Let's see, when am I going back to Germany? As soon as I can. I love it in Germany. Absolutely love it. Speaking of Germany, let me just pause here real quick. Hang on a second. I just uploaded a new video today. Oh, hang on a second. Let me silence that call. Let me share my screen. Okay. So, yeah, speaking of Germany, one thing that I didn't mention on the live stream for New Year's Day, I guess I should have mentioned it, but I don't do a very good job like promoting my own stuff. There was a new channel that I started this year, History Traveler Walking Tours, and as a matter of fact, just uploaded
one good way.
Well, here we got to watch an ad here real quick, but just uploaded this video today from Munich. Oh wow, another ad. Awesome. Skip that. So anyway, this is at the Königsplatz in Munich, and right here in this area was kind of like a cultural center for the Nazi Party. So the Brown House was here, the Führerbau was here, the Ehrenhall, which was like the honor hall, where they buried or they had entombed the members who were killed during the beer hall putsch. That was all right here at this spot. So yeah, I did a little walking tour there. My furnace just kicked on. If that noise is annoying, let me know. But anyway, when I first launched this channel, like I think it has been an acquired taste for some people. I think a lot of people, when I launched the new channel, they thought that one of the reactions was like, hey, I kind of like it better when you're on there and you're talking and things like that. And I'm like, well, I kind of already have a channel where I do that. So I didn't want to start a new channel doing the exact same thing that I'm doing on the History Underground. I wanted something that was a little bit different. One of the pieces of feedback that I've got from people, which by the way, hang on a second. Thank you for the super chat there. I really do appreciate that. That's helpful. One of the pieces of feedback that I've got from people, who've watched like the History Traveler videos or things like that, like, man, I wish you would have shown more of this, or wish you would have shown more at that of that. So that's kind of what History Traveler Walking Tours is. It's a lot more showing and a lot less yapping. Now, with that being said, if you go, you can turn on the closed captions, and yeah, there you go. I said Aaron Hall, is Aaron Temple. And then here we can, I provide a little bit of context for what we were seeing. Now, again, it's not everything. So this building right here that you're looking at, that's the documentation center, that white building on the right. There you can kind of see what it used to look like. This is where the Brown House was, which was the site for is kind of like the headquarters for the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazi Party. And then right here, we're looking at the Führerbau. So again, I go in there later on in this episode, and it's like impossible to show everything and to stop. So people are going to complain no matter what I do. But anyway, I try and give a little bit of context with the closed captions. That way you kind of know a little bit what you're looking at. It's a little bit more work on my part, but that's fine. I don't mind. Um, but anyway, I think that has been an acquired taste for people. I think at first people were like, I don't think I like this very much, or it's something that they weren't used to, or something that was different. But then after watching a few of them, they're like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of seeing it now. Some people watch it. Here, the feedback that I've got so far. Some people watch it as background in their house. So they'll be like folding their clothes or cleaning the house, and they'll have this running because they're 30 minutes to an hour, hour and a half so far. And they'll have as just kind of like background noise. I've had some people say that they need some kind of like white noise or background noises. They're falling asleep at night, so they'll turn on YouTube on their TV and have it as they're going to sleep. Another one that I didn't even think about when I started the channel was people who walk on treadmills. They'll they'll have a TV in front of them, or they'll have like an iPad or something like that, and they'll walk on their treadmill, and it's kind of like they're walking in the spot where I'm at. So anyway, if you haven't checked out that channel, yeah, definitely check it out. See what you think. Subscribe. Yeah, that would always be appreciated. And so, do you find in your travels any issues with not knowing the native language in whatever country you were in? You know what? I haven't really had any problems with that. A lot of people speak English. My time, like I was in Ukraine for a long stretch, a couple different times, and I found that there, where I was at, few people spoke English. I just learned Russian and was able to get around. But most places, especially now that you have Google Translate, that makes a huge difference. Oh man, I'm way behind on stuff. Oh yeah, here we go. Appreciate that, Tom. Yeah, any kind of engagement on any, and not just my channel, but any channel, any of the history channels that you watch, liking, and it sounds cliche, but liking, subscribing, and leaving comments. That's a huge help. Here's another super chat. Let's see, from Corey. By the way, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the amazing videos. I appreciate that. Any chance you'll be doing a series on the Battle of Luzon? My granddad served with 70 or 37. Got a little dyslexic there. The 37th Infantry. I would love to go to the Philippines. I have a contact there who told me anytime you want to come to the Philippines, let me know. He actually has a plane. He's a pilot, so he has his own private plane. He said, we'll go wherever you want to go and see whatever you want to see. So that's on my list. As always, limiting factor is time and money. Oh, hey, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. All right. Let's jump in, look at a few more. Again, I've scrolled down to the bottom here, so if I've missed your question, definitely hit me up again. Let's see. What's my most treasured historical possession? Not necessarily the oldest, but the most treasured. It's actually just sitting right over here on my other computer. It's a little old pocket knife. And that's it. My buddy Reed, who was in the 7th Armored Division, was captured at the Battle of the Bulge. As a matter of fact, at this point, 80 years ago, he was being walked to the east by the Germans. And anyway, he ran into a Russian prisoner, and he traded this Russian. It was either 2 or 3 Chesterfield cigarettes for this little pocket knife, and then that pocket knife was given to me. And there's no amount of money, there's no object, there's nothing that I would take for that pocket knife. I don't care what you offered me. I would not trade that. You could, tell me that you got Hitler's mustache or something like that. I wouldn't take it for that pocket knife. So yeah, that's probably the most treasured. And then I have some things like from my grandpa's that are definitely high up there. Some ghost towns out west. Yeah, would definitely love to do that. Let's see. Any chance you'd go see battles on the World War II Eastern Front? Absolutely. Traveling to Russia right now is going to be a bit of an issue. Um, but yeah, I would love to get out to the Eastern Front. I have. Let's go back. Wait a minute. Let's go back here. And if we search history traveler, let's say Poland. See if what that brings up for us. So there's some stuff that I did out in Poland. Very, very limited. This is when I went to the border after the war ramped up. So I was working out there, but in between the time that I finished my time on the border and in Ukraine, and when I had to leave, I had a little bit of time to go film some stuff. So went to Oscar Schindler's factory in Krakow or Krakow, however you want to say it. There was one day that my son and I had a day off where we weren't working. Like we were working crazy hours. But close to where we were, there was an old war cemetery. So we had a day off where we could do our laundry and stuff like that. So we went there. And then here in Shimish, or Shimishul, sometimes it's pronounced, hit some World War I place. Shimish, which is kind of where our home base was. It was the largest city that was close to us. It was sometimes called the Verdun of the East. So we went to some forts out there. Yeah, good question. Let's see. You have any content for the early West covering mountain men like Kit Carson, Jim Bridger, John Coulter? Yeah. I just it's just again kind of a matter of time. All right. Let me go down a little bit here. Oh, here's a nice comment. Enjoy your humbleness when telling, like telling the stories. Here's the honest truth: is I don't consider myself to be like a super knowledgeable guy. I just enjoy history, and I try and attach myself to people who actually do know, a lot of different things. Interesting question. Do I fear aging and death? The answer is no. No, I don't. Um, Anybody who has watched the channel for any amount of time, you probably picked up on the fact that where my beliefs are personally, my faith. I'm a Christian guy. So with that, now death is not something that is something that I fear. There's a verse in the Bible that says to live is Christ and die is gain. So death is a gain for people who are believers in Christ. Now, with that being said, the thing that I do think about is I think about my kids a lot. I'm like, man, what would happen with them? How would it affect them if I checked out earlier than expected? So that's something that my mind kind of goes to sometimes. But in that on my part, that's kind of a demonstrating a bit of a lack of faith, as if God won't take care of them as well. All right. Let's see. There's apparently an annual Mount Currahee run, which runs the path up and then down the mountain. Do you ever do it or consider running it? Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back here. Let's say Toccoa. Wow, Toccoa. And first thing that comes up is Tulagi. So episode 100. I believe, yeah, here it is. Yeah, here we go. Episode 100. There you can see me lacing up my boots right there. I actually did a ruck march up Currahee, and it's the real deal. Here's the thing that people don't realize who've maybe watched Band of Brothers or something like that, is the Currahee, they said 3 miles up, 3 miles down. It's not 3 miles up, 3 miles down. It's 3 miles going up and then down, and then up and then down, and then up and then down, and then up and down and around and curves and everything like that. Then you get to the top and you touch, there's not a big rock up there. There's an old geological survey marker. Touch that. And then when you go down, you think, oh, okay, well, I'll just hoof it going up. And then when I come down, it'll be a lot easier. Well, then when you come down, it's down and then up and then down and then up and then down and then up. So there's just punishment all around. Yeah. Hey, got Project Pass here. He was on the live stream the other day. Appreciate all the support you've shown me, all that you do for the history community. Here's a pack of bacon on me. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. And if anybody's watching, go subscribe to Project Past. I slacked in this past year on Civil War content. So you can go there and like go to History with Waffles as well and get your Civil War fix there. Ooh, man, that kind of got cold on me. Blech. All right. Okay. Oh, yep, here we go. Good day from Brisbane, Australia. Big thanks for making our city look great. I really regret that I'm limited on time, so I can't just be everywhere and do everything that I really want to. But man, I wish I could have spent another day in Brisbane or another couple days in Australia, just in general. Okay, let's see. Here we go. It's a good question. Do you have a degree in history? No, I don't. That cold hot chocolate taste kind of ruined my day. I gotta swish it out now. So no, I don't have a degree in history. Actually, my degree was in biology, biology education. I was a science teacher for a little while and then transitioned full-time to history. Did half science and half history for a while. I took one history class and one political science class when I was in college. That was it. But I just really enjoyed history a lot. So at the school that I was teaching at, we got into a situation where we had a need for really a half of a history teacher and a half of a social studies teacher. And I was talking to the principal about it, and he's like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. He said, we don't need a full-time history. We don't need a full-time science. He said, I need half of each. And I said, well, hey, what if I went and took the test in the state that I'm teaching in? You could, after you got your degree, if you went and passed a test, well, then you could get certified to teach that. So I said, hey, why don't I just go? I really like history. I read a lot. I said, can I maybe just go try to take that test, and then I'll be the half-time history, half-time science? And he said, sure. So I went and took this test to get certified. And I don't know how this reflects on me. I actually did better on the history test than I did on the science test or the biology test that I went to school for. And anyway, then became half-time history, half-time science. That was probably way longer than anybody cared about. Here's a question I get quite a bit. Operation Market Garden. It's on my list. It's on my list. I'll be so I'll go ahead and just tell you all kind of what my thought process is, because I have a lot of people, especially Dutch, asking, when are you going to come to the Netherlands? When are you going to do Market Garden? Right now, the Gettysburg Museum of History, we're currently in the process of doing an expansion to the museum. Gettysburg Museum of History, in case you don't know, has the largest collection of Easy Company artifacts of any place in the world. And as far as like Band of Brothers type content, we've done Normandy, we've done Bastogne, we've done like Berchtesgaden. So I'm wanting to keep some of that stuff like in my hip pocket for, and when the museum expansion is finished, then my plan is to go to the Netherlands, do some Market Garden stuff, and kind of use that as a means of saying, hey, you know, if you're into Band of Brothers, here's where you can go and see all this stuff. So anyway, see, I'd love you come to the UK. I was actually in the UK this past summer. Got a few episodes from there. One went to We Have Ways Fest, also went to Hadrian's Wall. So if you go in and type in History Traveler Hadrian's Wall, like, it should come up with some of that content that I shot there. Let's see, kind of just randomly clicking stuff now. Love that history YouTubers in your community are all friendly and not competitive. I learned about so many good new channels to you. Oh, well, that's cool, Grant. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm not. I'm kind of one of those people who subscribes to the idea that a rising tide lifts all boats. Some of my best friends I've made through, you know, this YouTube channel. So yeah, I've had people tell me before, they're like, man, that's kind of your competition, isn't it? Why are you promoting your competition? Why are you promoting their videos instead of your own? One is, I just feel weird about talking about my own stuff, or like promoting it. And also I'm a fan first and foremost. So I'm a fan of all of these other channels. So yeah, I'm glad to, and it, if I'm being honest, you know, my channel has really grown, and far beyond what I ever thought it would. So if I can take a little bit of that and kind of funnel, you know, some traffic to other places where people can learn things that I'm not covering, then yeah, I'm all about that. I can only think of one channel that I've had even like somewhat of a negative interaction with, as far as like in the history community. I'm not going to say who it is, because I don't know, I don't think that would be right. But man, I don't know. He was a kind of a cantankerous figure on Twitter, and I legit had never had any interaction with this guy before, and he just like blocked me, and had some less than charitable things to say about me. But yeah, that's okay. That stuff doesn't bother me. Hey, look here. I don't know if he's still in, but vlogging through history. Hello from Rome. No snow here, 60 degrees. Man, that's cool. Vlogging through history. This is one of my best friends that I've made through this YouTube channel, and his channel is outstanding. Let's see. Any possibility of doing some archaeological digs? Man, that would be cool as heck. I would love that. And I'm wanting to kind of expand. I do a lot of World War II, World War I, Civil War, and then kind of a sprinkling of things other places. I'm wanting to kind of expand into some ancient history stuff and cover that as well. Tried that a few years ago in Athens, and well, we all know how that went. All right. Let's see. I'm oh my gosh, I'm way behind. I'm like 10 minutes behind on this. Here's another good question. Ever thought about doing a biblical series? 100% yes. As a matter of fact, I just mentioned Athens. That was one of my plans in Athens, was to have kind of a crossover of ancient history and biblical history. I had it all planned out. It was going to be awesome. Yeah, and then, yeah, all my stuff got stolen. But anyway, yeah, I have plans on going back to Athens. I would love to go to Israel. And there's a few channels there that I would like to collaborate with while I'm there. All right. All right, I'm skipping down, skipping down, skipping down. Okay, again, if I miss your question, oh, speaking of other channels, history in your hand. Filming location for Currahee Band of Brothers is 30 minutes from my house, heading there next week. Definitely be looking forward to that. Rob covers a lot of World War I stuff on his channel as well. Okay. Did I answer this one yet? If I'm coming to the UK? Yeah, I think I did answer this one. I'll be there. I might be there again this next summer with my family. My parents are celebrating their 50th anniversary, and rather than my brother and I, who are not party planners and are not into that at all, rather than suffering through the process of having to plan a 50th anniversary celebration, my brother said, "Hey, why don't we just take them someplace?" So anyway, that's what we'll be doing. Let's see. Have I been to Brushy Run Battlefield? Only 5 minutes from where I live. No, I haven't. I would love to check that out, though. Wilson's Creek. That is very high on my list. The Trans-Mississippi Theater in the Civil War really gets overlooked. And one of my goals for 2025 is to try and correct that a little bit. And yeah, Wilson's Creek is high up on that list. Let's see. It'd be nice if you collaborated with John Parshall, great Pacific War historian. I don't know John Parshall. All that I know is just what I've seen from him being on like World War II TV. And man, that guy is awesome. And I would love to collaborate with him because I mean, like that dude knows his stuff, obviously, when it comes to the Pacific War. Let's see. How'd you get bit by the history bug? That would be from my grandpa and my dad. My grandpa grew up during the Great Depression, fought in the Korean War. So I was always hearing his stories about his time in the service and his time growing up. And then my dad was really big into like the space race to the moon. So we were always watching documentaries and stuff like that when I was younger. So that's where it came from. Oh, here we go. Loving your series on Guadalcanal, especially about the Getchy Patrol. Here's something that is strange to me. Let's go back to the channel here real quick. So this is not a complaint. This is not a complaint. So don't hear it as one. Here, we'll just go from here. Oh, look, we're live. Here are all of the recent videos. This video on the Getchy Patrol, which if you haven't seen it, I won't go through the whole story right now. You can go watch the video. But here you can see episode 1 from the Guadalcanal series, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. And I'm appreciative of every view that I get. I wish that I could figure this whole YouTube thing out. But it continues to just be this enigma that I don't get. Here's the irony of the Getchy Patrol video. We stopped and just went to that site, and it was kind of a last minute decision to film that. Here we'll go to it here. It's right in this urban area. You know, a lot of that part of the battlefield has been lost to urban expansion. And at the last minute, I said, well, here, let's just go ahead and film something real quick and make something out of it. I'll bet you that this video, as far as just like every single shot that you see in the video is everything that I had. Like I didn't film a whole bunch of extra stuff with it. Like I literally used everything that I shot in this video, and it probably took 15 or 20 minutes. So in other words, the least amount of effort that I put into any video in this series was this video right here, and it is outperforming. If we go back and look, currently, it's like outperforming all of these other videos. YouTube gives you a ranking of how your video is doing compared to the last 10. So like at this point, I can look and see how it's done in the first 24 hours or the first 36 hours, and then it'll rank it with the other 10 videos. Right now, it's number 1. Why that is, I mean, I don't get it. I don't know. It's hard for me to figure out why some things take off and sometimes don't. On the other hand, a video that I might put a ton of effort and research into and spend a whole bunch of time filming and takes me forever to edit it, will typically be a flop. But anyway, yes, Justin, I am way, way long overdue for a visit to Charleston. I have got to get there, not during the summer because it's too hot, but I definitely have to get there. Real quick question here. I'll try and just buzz some of these. What brand of camera do you use to shoot your video? Primary camera that I'm using is a Panasonic GH6, but I have a handful of others. I think when I went to Guadalcanal, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 5 or 6 varieties of cameras. Now that includes like GoPros and this, that, and the other. Yeah. Let's see. Do I make a living solely on this channel? Nope. I have 2 full-time jobs basically right now, so I don't sleep very much. Let's see. Jen seemed to be the only woman on here. I don't think so. I think we have some other women on here. If you look at the like demographics breakdown, my audience typically is about 75% male, 25% female. Would love to see more women getting into it though. Let's see. Do I plan on going to Okinawa? Funny you mentioned that. I was actually talking with my wife about that just a couple days ago. We're trying to get some things together, and Okinawa is part of that equation. All right. Oh, here we go. Hey, here we go. Speaking of which, just hopped on, getting through the New Year's show. Oh, cool. Enjoy getting to know the other history guests, making sure I'm subscribing to all the channels I'm not already subscribed to. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. As a matter of fact, if it's a choice between subscribing to those other channels and subscribing to mine, I'd rather you subscribe to those because many of them are better than mine. All right. You'll learn a lot from those other channels. Let's see. Buffalo Soldiers. I've mentioned them briefly in other videos. I'm trying to think off the top of my head where I've mentioned them. I think when I went to the 45th Infantry Division Museum, I may have talked about them a little bit, but it would be cool to do something just solely on the 92nd for sure. Let's see. Hi from France. Hunter like me? Yep, absolutely. Here's one thing that people may or may not know is that prior to having the YouTube channel, like I had a background in video production and editing and stuff like that. I actually had a hunting show that I co-produced that was broadcast nationally on national television for 6 seasons. Yeah. So been hunting ever since. Like some of my earliest memories are shooting guns and going out squirrel hunting and frog gigging and fishing and stuff like that. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think there's some of my old hunting videos that are on YouTube. But any plans for War of 1812? Yeah, definitely. Revolutionary War content. Yeah, Pam, I mentioned that briefly earlier at the beginning of the stream. I'm going to try and get to maybe a Revolutionary War site or two this year, but next year I'm really going to lean heavily into it. Like I have some big plans for next year to coincide with the anniversary. So European theater of World War II is most interesting. This is not an uncommon opinion, but I think once you start getting into stuff with the Pacific, you'll find that it is also very, very interesting as well. I would argue more brutal than the war in Europe. That's not to say that the war in Europe wasn't brutal. Those guys didn't have a hard time, but man, the war in the Pacific is just as nasty as it gets. And those guys, there wasn't weekend passes to Paris or something like that. Now I can say this, and I don't want it to sound like it's offensive to the guys who served in the European theater, but I mentioned Reed Stevens earlier. This is a man who was a machine gunner in the 7th Armored Division, was captured by the Germans, was held as a prisoner from the Battle of the Bulge all the way through the duration of the war, was walked from one end of Germany to the other, was abused, saw guys murdered in front of him, and was just like down to skin and bones by the time he was liberated. I forget, it was one of the Highland divisions that he was liberated by. He told me, he said, as bad as I had it, he said, I would not have wanted to be one of those guys who had to go over and fight the Japanese. He said those guys had it rough. And I was like, good grief, Reed, you're the one who had it rough in my mind. But yeah. Let's see. Have you read All Quiet on the Western Front? And what do you think about it compared to Storm of Steel? I'm going to make a confession. All Quiet on the Western Front is one of those classics that I have not read. Storm of Steel, I'm halfway through right now, and I'm actually kind of liking it. I won't say it's my favorite. It's not blowing me away. There's a lot of like romantic language that he uses to describe things. Ernst Jünger. That I would rather you just tell me the story. Don't dress it up. But I am liking it better than Goodbye to All That by Robert Graves. Let's see. Is there any way for relatives of those who are buried in France to be reinterred in the U.S.? Ooh, Rich, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm going to lean. I don't know. I'm not even going to answer that because I other than to say I don't know. I can give you my personal opinion on it. After the war, a lot of people have this. Anytime I post a video of a cemetery over in Europe, I'll get people commenting saying, "Oh, it's such a shame that they left our boys over there. They should be buried here," and everything like that. After the war, the families of fallen U.S. service members were given the option by the U.S. government on whether or not they wanted to bring their loved ones home to be buried in the U.S. They would be, if the answer was yes, they would be disinterred, and the body would be shipped back to the U.S. at no charge to the family whatsoever. The only hitch was like it would come to like the nearest port or something like that, but and then the family was responsible for picking up the body and then bringing it to a local cemetery. So the men who are buried over in places like Normandy and Henri Chapelle and Luxembourg, they are there because their immediate family wanted them to remain there and to be buried there. So my personal opinion is anyone who is buried over abroad in Belgium or in France or in wherever, my personal opinion is that's where they should stay, because that's what the immediate family chose to do in the aftermath of the war. Here we go. Thanks for the super chat, Garth's World. Hi from the West Coast, PNW. Oh, hey, come out and do the Triangle of Fire. Forts of Puget Sound. I can help you out with logistics. Hit me up. Oh, yeah, that sounds interesting. That sounds interesting. Yeah, thanks. Let's see. Have I done a video on the Herkenwald? Well, let's just take a look and see. Let's go to the YouTube and let's type in History Traveler Hertgen Forest, and you'll see, yeah, I've got quite a few videos from the Hertgen Forest here. So I think there's like 4, 5, 6 videos, maybe more. Okay, so here's one with the 2nd Ranger Battalion at Hill 400 where they got wrecked. Here's where we're going back to Hertgen with some veterans. Here's the grave of Walter Model, looking at the Cow Trail with the 28th. So yeah, there's quite a bit of Hertgen Forest material. So just go search that and you should be able to find it. Oh, Rhode Island is a state that I've never been to. I've never been to Rhode Island. I think I've been to like 45 states or 46 or something like that. Rhode Island's one that I haven't been to yet. See, I got to check that out. Let's see, are you planning a series on the Vietnam War? Yes. I was actually planning on going to Vietnam this spring, but some other things have come up and that has been pushed aside. Let's see, have I read that New Jersey teachers are no longer required to pass basic literacy tests? That is wild. And yes, I did see that, and that is insane. I don't know who in the heck is making that call, but they are stupid. I have no idea like what could possibly be going through your mind. Well, I do know what's going through their mind. There's a huge teacher shortage right now. We are needing good, solid educators who are willing to go into the education space. Lowering the standards is not a good way to attract more talent. I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit of a, well, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I will. So in my time in education, the vast majority of the teachers who I worked with were high quality, good teachers, like the kind of teacher that you would want your child learning under. There have been some that are like mediocre. Sometimes I'll hear people talk about how all teachers are heroes or all teachers are this, all teachers that. All teachers are not. I've worked with some that were not good and had no business in the classroom. So I think lowering the standards is not a good idea. Plain and simple. I know, man, I'm not a big government guy or anything, and I don't like, throwing money at a problem as a solution. But teachers' salaries need to come up in order to attract more talent, because I've seen it over and over and over, and it just guts me every time. We'll have teachers come in, they'll teach for a year or two, and then they'll be like, nah, I'm out, because they can go make more money doing something that is far less stressful. So something has to be done. But yeah, not being able to pass a literacy test is not going to be the way to do it. Coolest preserved earthworks that I've seen. Off the top of my head, Fort Donelson in Tennessee is probably what comes to mind first. Let's see. Who could hate JD? Surprisingly, lots of people. Yeah. I have a unique talent for attracting some of the craziest hate. That it's wild. I think it's hilarious. It doesn't bother me at all. But anyway, okay. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm going to Oh my gosh, I cannot believe how far behind I am. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. If I've missed your question, I am sorry. Let's start with this one here. Who's the most evil man in World War II other than Hitler? Easy. That's Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin arguably is just as evil as Hitler. Uh, if you look at like some of the atrocities that he committed even before World War II, like in Ukraine with the Holodomor, this forced starvation of the Ukrainian people. And then the purges that he had, Stalin was easily one of the most evil men ever. So people, even during the time, were asking, why are we allied with this guy? And Winston Churchill, famously said, I'm paraphrasing here, that he would basically that he would align himself with the devil himself if it meant defeating defeating Hitler. So the primary objective was, okay, we got all these other problems in the world. Let's defeat Hitler first, and then we can deal with Stalin and everything afterwards. Which you see, after the war ends and the Cold War sets in, and Churchill gives his Iron Curtain speech. So he's not somebody who was friendly towards Stalin at all. As a matter of fact, Churchill had some frustrations, I believe, with FDR, and that FDR was, I'm trying to think of the right word, maybe a little bit naive when it came to Stalin. So yeah, Winston Churchill, like, hey, this dude is bad. He is not to be trusted. We got to work with him now to defeat Hitler. But yeah. Here is it's funny that you mentioned this, Tim. Any thoughts on traveling the entire Mississippi River series? That is 100% on my list of things to do. I've had that idea for a long time now, that I want to go up to the headwaters of the Mississippi River and then travel it all the way down to Louisiana. So that's going to happen one of these days, because I think that would be a lot of fun. Let's see, any book recommendations before visiting Munich? Man, not off the top of my head. Maybe somebody watching this will have some wisdom. Do I have it? I don't have it here. There's a book. Give me a second. So if you are interested in the history of the Third Reich, the book Hitler by Ian Kershaw, I would read that, because there's a whole lot of stuff that happens with Hitler in Munich that you can kind of cross-reference. Any plans to do Peleliu in your Pacific Theater coverage? If I had a wish list of top places that I wanted to visit, Peleliu is absolutely at the top, number one place. So yes, very much so. How's my goal of visiting presidential homes and museums coming? Slow. I need to get back out there and get after it on that stuff. I've actually talked to Chris and Matt Beat from the channel Mr. Beat about collaborating and hitting some places. Chris is around a lot of places in Ohio that I think you can hit like 4 presidential graves right there. Is Ken Burns' Civil War the best history documentary ever? It's good. I don't think I would call it the best. I would say that when it was released in 1989, 90, 91, somewhere in that time frame, when it was released, I would say it was the best documentary ever made. Yes. There are some Ken Burns documentaries that he's made since that I think are better. That's not to take away from the Civil War at all, though. Even though it's rather I don't want to say dated, but what is it, 35 years old or whatever. Yeah, it's still great. There are some things in it that I'm just, when I watch it, I'm like, like where he refers to the first day of the Battle of Gettysburg as like a skirmish over shoes. That's something that, you know, at the time it was the best documentary ever made, and it's still great. There we go. Let's see. Okay, how long after a visit somewhere are you able to produce a video? So this is kind of a not complex, but a situational question. There have been times where I've gone out on a Friday uh, and shot content, edited the video on a Saturday and released it, or edited on a Saturday. Yeah, is that what I just said? So I've gone out, filmed on Friday, edit on Saturday, release on Sunday. Uh, and there are times where I've gone out and filmed something like the Guadalcanal series that you're looking at now. That was all shot early October. Um, I don't think I try not to have anything that's more than a couple of months old. So like this Guadalcanal stuff, it's been setting. It's honestly been setting longer than I would have liked for it to have set, but it is what it is. Okay. Let's see. Will you be joining any in-person World War tours in France, Belgium, Austria this year? I probably won't be doing any tours. Um, Tours are hard for me because tours they're on a schedule, and if you get off the bus and you go to a site and you're like, okay, here's the historian, and he or she is going to tell what happened here, 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 and here, and then you've got 15 minutes to look around, and then it's back on the bus. That doesn't work well with what I do. Like I need some time. As a matter of fact, you can ask Eric. He's been with me filming a lot. It's pretty painful to go with me when I'm filming. It's boring as heck because I kind of like to just take my time and think through things and get all the shots that I want. So going on a tour doesn't really lend itself well to that. The times that I have been on a tour, I've almost 100% of the time had to go back and refilm some stuff. So, okay, Chris, I remember when you and Eric showed the Hitler blood sofa piece. Is he still doing the DNA test on it? Yes. I can't say. Okay. There are things that I know that I cannot say right now. But I think what I can say is that there have been some more developments with that, and you can be expecting the results of those developments in the spring. And I'm not going to say any more than that, or I might get in trouble. But yeah, I think people are really going to find it interesting. Let's see. Should the Western Allies pushed into Eastern Europe after Germany was defeated? So I've got a split opinion on that. On the one hand, I think that would have been a hard sell to the American people because you're starting that's a new war that's cranking up now against the Soviet Union, and I think a lot of Americans would have been really confused about why are we fighting against the people that we were just fighting with. So, and especially with all of the loss like this, it's easy for us to look back on it. Man, at the time, this is a war that had really kind of ground down the U.S. a little bit and may have been getting a little bit war weary. So there were different incidents where people, like especially in the Pacific, they're asking, why did we attack this island? After Iwo Jima, after the bloodletting at Iwo Jima, the American people were kind of like, whoa, this is kind of rough. So I think it would have been difficult to sell the American people on pushing even further. On the other hand, man, it's awful what happened with Eastern Europe falling into communism and falling under the rule of the Soviet Union, because it set them back. One of these days, maybe I'll do a video, because I talked to a German historian recently about the difference between East Germany and West Germany, and really what happened when East Germany and West Germany came back together. Man, East Germany had been stunted under communism, which is why anytime I see these fools online talking about how evil capitalism is and how socialism, communism is better and whatnot, I'm like, dude, you don't know. Talk to somebody who lived there, and they will tell you a very different story. So should the Western Allies have pushed into Eastern Europe after Germany was defeated? Man, I don't know. I don't think it could have happened. But I think that Roosevelt should have been tougher with Stalin, like the Yalta Conference and such, about what the post-war world would look like. Let's see. Any chance of doing an episode on Albert Jenkins' wounding at Gettysburg and the John Majors home where he was taken? I'm going to be honest, I don't know anything about that story. So yeah, I'll have to look into that. Did I ever recover any of my stolen equipment? Nope. That was gone forever. I was able to track it. Showed the police exactly where all of my stolen equipment was. And when they looked at it, they said, we aren't going there, and we recommend that you don't either. The area of Athens where my stuff pinged at, I got to be careful here, because I don't want to be offensive with anything that I say. Let's just say it was in a very rough part of Athens. And yeah. Let's see. I remember you flying in a Huey. Can you imagine doing that every day? I was a crew chief tech inspector during the Vietnam era. Oh, wow. And no, I can't imagine doing that every day. Yeah, it was a neat experience, especially going with a guy who was in the 101st Airborne, experiencing that with him. But no, I absolutely cannot. How many presidential graves am I at now? Oh, crud. I would have to go back and recount. I'm not sure. Let's see. What's your most exciting planned destination for 2025? I would like to go to Japan. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I would really like to go there. Okay, here's a good question. Since you mentioned FDR, the video where you went to the little White House. Yeah, thanks, man. When you go to these places, do you need a request or extra permission to film them? Some places, yes. Some places, no. Some places you can go online and see what their filming policy is and stuff like that. And then other times I'll ask on site, like if it's a little bit murky. And then there are other places where, yes, you get permission ahead of time and things like that. So, yeah. Okay. If someone wanted to reach out for a possible interview with you, what is the best way to do so? Probably go to the YouTube channel and go to here, We'll just show it real quick. Ah, wrong button. Hang on, sorry. So if you go to the channel and then go right here to like the about section, there you can get to my email address right there. That would probably be the best way. I will say, man, I'm inundated with, between all of the social media platforms that I'm on, which is YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter/X, TikTok. So there's 5 right there. And then I've also got like a channel email, a private email, a work email, another business email. Okay, so right there alone, um, man, I just get, and then comments on YouTube that I try to reply as many as possible. Uh, man, I get inundated with stuff. So anyway, if you send me an email and then you don't hear back from me in a certain period of time, it might have just got buried and I just didn't see it. So don't be afraid to hit me up again. Uh, I had somebody the other day, man, they really got kind of crossways because they, what was it? I think it was on X. They were just deeply offended that they left a comment and asked me a question and I didn't respond to it. And this was like the day that the video was released. And I was like, dude, I get hundreds of comments a day. Depending on the video, it could get up into like the thousands of comments every single day. And I think that I do a pretty fair job of responding to as many as I can, but obviously to respond to them all would be a full-time job. Okay. Wow, I've kind of fallen behind here again. Oh, wow, I've fallen way behind. Let me just. Lisa, who is one of the great supporters of the channel, also a supporter on Patreon, which I don't ever talk about. And my Patreon supporters, I just don't show them enough appreciation. It's guilt that weighs on me. But anyway, can we tour Nazi or we can tour Nazi concentration camps? Are there any of the Japanese camps to tour? I can't. I think that means think of any. That's a really good question, and I don't know. I think. Like I wonder if you can go like to the Philippines, to like Palawan, or oh crud, what's the name of the one? It's escaping me now. Hang on a second. I got too many things that are rolling through my head at once. Oh man, what is the name of that camp? I'm sorry. Here, the 11th Airborne liberated it. This is awful because I know a guy who was there. It's one of the most amazing stories to come out. Los Banos, to come out of World War II. Yeah, I don't know if you can go to those sites or not. I don't think there's anything that's set up quite as formal as what you would see like at an Auschwitz or Buchenwald or Flossenburg or something like that. Okay. Yeah, imagine if you could give up work and do this full time, the content would be unreal. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I trust YouTube though. I don't know. I would love to see a series on Shiloh, also high up on my list. Okay. Oh, here's another one. Have I ever been to Tombstone? No, but I would love to go because the movie Tombstone, even though it's not a documentary, it's not the most historically accurate ever. Man, Tombstone is one of my favorite movies of all time. When are the recent Bulge videos dropping? Okay, so we are on, hang on a second. We are on episode 5, Guadalcanal. There's going to be a total of 13, and I'm releasing 2 or 3 a week. So yeah, probably in about 3 weeks, you'll start seeing some of that Battle of the Bulge stuff come out. I thought about doing some Civil War videos to put in between there, but I think I'm just going to go right into the Battle of the Bulge stuff. Um, October in the Solomons, dang hot. Yes, it was insanely hot there. There's not a place I have traveled to where the misery index was as bad as what it was on Guadalcanal. Now, that being said, I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed my time there, going with the guys that I did. But man, oh man, that heat and humidity there, close to the equator was next level. Like I thought Saipan and Tinian was bad. Oh, nothing compared to Guadalcanal. Just watch SAS Rogue Heroes second series and loved it. Any chance doing the Italian campaign. Italian campaign is another one that I would like to do. I had an opportunity to go there with Eric Dorr and Andrew Biggio this past fall, but man, the timing was as bad as it could possibly be for me, and I wasn't able to go. Let's see. Have I ever been to the NAS Pensacola Air Museum? Some cool stuff there. And they let you touch everything. Even the Dauntless that was damaged at Pearl Harbor sank in Lake Michigan. I'll try and tell this story quick. Yes, I have been to the Pensacola Air Museum. I did film some stuff there and had to take it down. So I'll explain. And I'll try and be really, really quick with this story. So I got an invitation from a guy who said, hey, if you're going to be down in Florida Panhandle, I've got a good hookup at the Air Museum. So I was going to be down there, coincidentally, not far from there. Said, hey, let's do it. Let's do it. So this guy had a friend. What was this guy's name? I think it was Mike was the guy's name, if I remember right. I've done my best to remove this person from my memory because this was a bad experience. So anyway, Mike worked at the Air Museum, okay, and could get us in because it's on a military base. So we go in, and this guy is taking us all around, and we go up to like the workers that are there, and he says, hey, I know so-and-so, these guys are filming. And we are getting like insane access to these airplanes and stuff. And we're going on inside of the helicopters. We're going inside of airplanes. We were like crawling all over everything in this museum. And I'm like, man, this is amazing. I released the video and then got contacted by somebody who I think she was the marketing person, or maybe it was the director or something like that at the museum. Turns out Mike was a complete fraud. He had been a volunteer there. And the whole time that he's taking us through the museum, he's like, oh, yeah, I got this stuff, and I got this stuff, and I helped with this display and things like that. The guy turned out to be an absolute fraud. And she wasn't angry at me, but she did know this guy. He's lucky he didn't go to jail, to be honest with you. And she said, this guy was not who he said he was, and you should not have been the places where you were. So they asked me to take those videos down, and I did. But I learned a really, really important lesson there. And that was, hey, just because somebody says there's something doesn't mean that they are who they say they are. I made a big mistake trusting this individual. And like I said, it was somebody who was a friend of this guy that I know down there. But yeah, that was a bad experience. And I learned my lesson there. Okay, who is somebody you've met on your travels that left you starstruck? I've never been starstruck by anybody, to be honest with you. I don't care who it is. If it's like a big actor or a sports star or something like that, to me, that's their job. And if they do their job well, I'm just as impressed with them as I am, like a construction worker who builds a really good house and does his job well. I'm impressed by people who do their job well. Now, that being said, probably one of the most famous people that I've spent time with and got to hang out with was Martin Sheen. I took some heat after I posted the videos with Martin Sheen because he has some political leanings that are probably more to the left. You know, Martin Sheen and I probably aren't going to agree on a lot of things. When we go to vote, we're probably going to vote different. But that was the nicest man I've ever met in my life, and I was so impressed by him and how he dealt with how he interacted with people and how he was genuinely curious. A lot of Hollywood actors get a real bad name, and a lot of times that is well earned. Martin Sheen, and like I actually got to spend time. It wasn't like going up and shaking his hand and taking a picture and then going off. Like I actually got to spend time with him, and he was a very, very impressive individual and left an impression on me as far as like, hey, this is how people should deal with other people. Yeah. Let's see. Do you do most shots in one take, or do you do them several times before you hit the sweet spot? I honestly, that depends. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll just rip it out. There are other times, like if I've traveled, for a long, like going to Guadalcanal, get there and have only had a few hours sleep and your brain's kind of mush and you've been thinking about one thing and now you got to think about another and stuff like that. Yeah, sometimes it'll take me a little bit of time to get it right. Or there'll be things that I'll say that like my brain thinks one thing and my mouth says another. Okay, so Normandy, for example, I'm not a Paul Woodage, so I don't know Normandy like Paul Woodage does, but I probably know it better than the average person. Like I could take a group of friends there and show them around and give them good. Well, as a matter of fact, I did that with a group of students earlier this year. Went and gave a tour in Normandy, just me. There was one of the trips that I went there, and there's 5 beaches of Normandy. Okay, Sword, Gold, Juneau, Utah, Omaha. And when I got home, I was talking about the 5 beaches of Normandy, but in the video I said the 4 beaches of Normandy. Zero clue why I said that. So a lot of times I'll just say stupid stuff that just messes with me. All right, I've been sitting here yapping and I fell behind again. Let's get back down here. Oh, I need a secretary. What I need, Lisa, is another me. That's what I need. But a secretary would be cool too. Let's see. Have I been to Buffalo? I've been there personally, but I haven't. Man, it's been years since I've been to Buffalo, New York. But would love to go back because yes, there is a lot of history there. Okay, I was born in Heidelberg, Germany. Lived in Nuremberg in the late 70s, 80s. Oh man, I would have loved to have been there during that time. Have I ever been to Nuremberg? Well, let's just take a look and see. We can go to the YouTube here, and if we type in history traveler Nuremberg, yeah. So I had a few videos that I shot there this past, when was that? When was I there? Late November. So one where we went to like the Zeppelin field, and then one where we went to the Hall of Justice where the Nuremberg trials took place. And yeah, so I have been to Nuremberg. Didn't get to spend as much time there as I would have liked, though. Okay. Let me kind of zip through the comments here, the questions and everything. Man, I appreciate everybody hanging out here. And all these great questions. Oh wow, dadgum. Thanks, Barry. Yeah, I appreciate that. Keep up the awesome content. Never miss your videos. Man, I appreciate that a whole lot. Thank you. That'll that'll be an extra meal on the road, and I appreciate that. Um, let's see. Do you run into any issues using your drone in Europe? Permits. Okay, so I'm a licensed drone operator in the European Union. Um, so I have all of the legal stuff taken care of for when I go. That being said, yeah, I do run into problems. This most recent trip to Belgium, I crossed over the border into Germany. Was talking about the 28th Infantry Division and the initial fight that they had with the Germans that were pushing towards Bastogne. And there was a dude in the town there that came up, and he didn't speak English and I didn't speak German. And man, he started ripping me up one side and down the other. He was losing his mind over the fact that I was using a drone there. So that's the kind of stuff that you run into. Even though I legally am authorized to use the drone where I was using it, he was telling me I needed this, I needed that, and a bunch of nonsense. So that's about what I run into. Okay. Let's see if I ever read Guadalcanal Diary. Literally just delivered to me during this live stream. Awesome. Well, you're going to enjoy it. It's a good book. And yes, I read it right before I went to Guadalcanal. That was one of the books that I used to help get me prepared. Okay. So do you plan on doing videos from Vietnam? Yes. Somebody asked me about that earlier. I was planning on going to Vietnam this spring, but another opportunity popped up and unfortunately kind of bumped my Vietnam plans. But yeah, it's definitely going to be more than Civil War and World War II. I've done a few Vietnam type videos. So you can go in, type in History Traveler Vietnam, and you can kind of see where I've done that. We've done a few Vietnam things on the American Artifact series as well. But yeah, I'll make it to Vietnam one of these days. Okay, any plans to do a History Traveler of the World War II Atlantic Wall down the Danish west coast? Lots of bunkers there on the beaches and dunes, a few good museums. Yes, I would love to do it. I was actually talking with Mike from Iron Mike Metal Detecting the other day, and he's done some work up there around, like in Denmark and in Norway. I would like to get up there to that area and explore some of that, because there are a few channels who have gone to some of those places, but I would like to go check it out for myself. Let's see. Do you think Hitler committed suicide or did he flee like the rumors? Hitler died in the bunker. He did not make it out of Berlin. Yeah. A lot, let me go back to that real quick. A lot of the stuff with the rumors about Hitler escaping, part of that comes out of the immediate post-war era. Like they didn't know immediately that Hitler had committed suicide, and there were rumors that were flying around everywhere. So like in the US, you had intelligence agencies that were putting stuff out, and they showed like what Hitler would look like without a mustache, what he would look like with a beard, what he would look like with glasses, just in case he did get out. Okay, like here's what he would look like. And then people, I mean, there were reports coming in from all over, like, oh man, I live in Muncie, Indiana, and I just saw Hitler at the gas station. Or I, live down in Tucumcari, and Hitler passed through the diner here, and got a cheeseburger. There were all kinds of crazy reports coming in, people seeing Hitler. So that's part of where some of that comes from. And then also the series Hunting Hitler did a great disservice, honestly, to the history community and really muddied the waters. And I happen to have a little bit of behind the scenes information about the production on that show. And if you watch Hunting Hitler on the History Channel, watch it as a piece of entertainment, not so much as a piece of history. Because even the people on that show, once production wrapped for the day, they would go to the restaurant or bar in the evening and then laugh about all of the ridiculous stuff that they shot that day. James Holland, who was on that show, part of his contract said that he, as far as my understanding here, is that he did not have to say that Hitler escaped from the bunker. As a matter of fact, um, he on his podcast that he does with Al Murray, We Have Ways of Making You Talk. They addressed this, and he was talking about how silly some of the stuff was on the show. So no, Hitler did not get out of that bunker. He died in Berlin. Favorite John Wayne war movie? I'm more of a John Wayne Western guy. As much as I love John Wayne and everything, I like John Wayne in westerns, and a few other movies like The Quiet Man and stuff like that. I never really got into the John Wayne war movies, but if I had to name one, I would say um, Sands of Iwo Jima. Okay. Um, let's see. How are the Origin boots holding up? Holding up good. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing an Origin hoodie right now. This is their heavy hoodie. Origin, all the products completely made in America. They use American grown cotton. It's manufactured in America. I mean, everything like with this gear right here, and also the t-shirt that I'm wearing underneath is American made from beginning to end. So I've, over time, you can't just throw down everything at once. I've slowly kind of converted my wardrobe to where, with the exception of a few pieces, it's all Origin gear, all made in America. They're such a great company and such great people. And some people think that when I, say anything about Origin and promote it, they're like, "Oh, they paid you to say that." No, they don't. I don't receive anything financially from Origin. They're not a sponsor of the show or anything like that. It's good stuff, and I genuinely like them. I also like Chick-fil-A. I talk about Chick-fil-A all the time. They don't pay me anything. So, as a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and say this honestly: you can't pay me anything to just say anything about a product that I don't actually believe in for the YouTube channel. I could show you my email right now, and people would probably be shocked at the number of financial offers that I get from companies saying, usually it's a middleman, so it's like a marketing company, and like something like a NordVPN or something like that is paying them to go out and put their advertising and products on different things. Uh, and I say no to all of it. That's not to say that I won't find something that works in the future. But last year, if I had to, guess the number of offers that I was made, because I could put something on every single episode that if I wanted to, I would estimate that I probably left or walked away from upwards of $100,000, 75 to $100,000 that I could have had. So but it would have required me to compromise what I do on this channel. So you might be watching something on, the Flossenburg concentration camp, and then what they want me to do is cut away in the first 5 minutes and say, "Hey, before we, get to the crematorium here at Flossenburg, I want to take a moment to talk to you about this VPN website, or this, whatever." And I'm not going to do that. Is that stupid on my part? Maybe. Um, Maybe I could do this full time if I, you know, compromise some of that stuff But that's all to say this. If you ever see me promoting something on the channel, it's because I honestly use it and I honestly believe in it. I'm not going to lie and do something just for money. And I've walked away from a lot of money to prove that. Let's see. Favorite pizza toppings. Yeah. Meat. All right. So sausage, ham, pepperoni. All right. Keep those nasty vegetables off of my pizza. Don't be putting no dang pineapple on it either. So I want animal flesh on my pizza. Let's see. Am I planning on going to 2025 show of shows? Yes. I'll definitely be there on Saturday. I don't know about Friday. I'll definitely be there on Saturday. And we've also got a special guest that we're going to have at Show of Shows with us. I can't say who it is, but I can tell you that it's going to be big. It's going to be cool, and you'll want to go check it out. All right. Let's see. Do people staring while filming make you giggle? It doesn't make me giggle. It makes me crumble. I hate filming around people. Worst thing ever. Let's see. Let's see. Contact for tours around Obersalzberg, Berchtesgaden, 100% Tom Lewis. You want to contact Tom Lewis. If you'll go to those videos that I did, so type in History Traveler Obersalzberg or History Traveler Berchtesgaden, or go to the most viewed channel on the video or on the channel, which is Eagle's Nest. I should have his contact information in there. If you can't find it, shoot me a message, and then I can probably help you out. Favorite all-time war film? Even though it has a bunch of problems historically, Saving Private Ryan is up there, is one of my favorites. Now, it is a mess historically, but it's still, I can overlook that stuff. I also like 1917 a lot. And I also like the newest version of All Quiet on the Western Front. So those are, you got three right there that I really like. I've had a ton of Australians suggest going to Darwin, so I'm going to have to do that at some point. Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, so didn't realize this wasn't your full-time job. So you said it on the live. Could you explain more about how you run your YouTube if it's not your full-time job? So for one thing, I'll just kind of walk you through an average day for me. I wake up about 4:15 to 4:30 in the morning. That's not because of Jocko Willink. I was doing that long before Jocko was a public figure. And then I'll read my Bible. I'll do a workout that'll give me a fresh jump on the day, and then I'll do a little bit of work. Okay, then I go do my 9 to 5 job. I come home. I'll maybe kind of reset for about 20 minutes, kind of get some things together, maybe take a little bit of a breather, and then I'm immediately going in and starting to edit and do stuff for the channel. So I have had people before say, and I want to be careful how I say this. Let me say this first. I feel super grateful for all of the opportunities that I've had to go some of the places that I've been, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So don't mishear what I'm about to say. I'm super grateful for that. I've had people before say, man, it must be nice. Must be nice to be able to go here or go there. And the answer is absolutely yes, it is nice. And then I'll ask them, hey, after work today, what did you do? I'm like, well, went home and, kicked on Netflix and, caught up on my favorite show, or I watched a movie and made dinner. And I say, man, that must be nice, because that's not my life. It's constant work. Also sprinkled in family time, church, all of these different things. So I don't require a lot of sleep. I get on average probably about 5 hours of sleep a night, 5 6 hours of sleep. So that gives me a little bit of extra time to get stuff done. Pum, pum, pum. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Thank you for the super chat, Joey. Are you carrying a metal detector in there? Is that what I'm seeing in your profile picture? What's one of your favorite souvenirs you've gotten from any of your trips? I don't have it on hand here. The one that pops into my mind the quickest uh, is when I was in Bretteville in Normandy, talking about Canadian fight that happened there with the 12th SS Panzer Division. You can actually see this on the video where I went there. Can't remember what episode it is, but I was showing a local a picture that has a German Panther tank. And I was like, "Can you tell me where this is?" And he spoke a little bit of English. He said, "Oh, this is my house." And then he pointed down the street. And he said, "There it is." So we went down there, filmed it and everything like that. And then he went inside and he came back out and he brought out a fuse off of artillery piece. And he said, "I got this out of my garden just this morning." And he's like, "Here." I told him that I was a history enthusiast and had the channel, and he gave it to me. And that's probably, in my mind, that's the coolest thing that I've got on a trip. Thank you for that super chat, by the way. Okay, let's. Again, I'm sorry, I'm going to miss some questions here. Let's see. Jersey Islands, one place in the UK that was occupied by the Germans in World War II. Recommend to visit there for your travels. That is a good idea. Maybe that's on the list for this year. I don't know. Let's see. Wouldn't it be great to do something with Snafu Docs? I know you guys talked earlier. Yeah, Joey's a great guy, and we've talked several times about doing some work together. So at some point, yeah, Joey and I are going to do some work. Joey's channel is, I am envious of his channel. Anytime he releases a video, it's kind of a two-edged sword for me. On the one hand, I'm really excited and I really love his work. His channel makes me so self-conscious about my channel. Like I feel just inferior in every way every time I see some of his one of his videos come out. So yeah, if you're not subscribed to Snafu Docs, it's amazing. Okay, most surprising World War II place that impacted you the most? Maybe Tinian, honestly. Like when I went to Normandy, I kind of knew what I was getting into and thought that it would be great. You go to a concentration camp, you kind of have your mindset on what that's going to be like and how that's going to feel. Tinian, man, that I've told people I loved that place so much. And a lot of it, I think, had to do with the fact that I felt like I was the only guy on the island at that time. It was just like driving my car up and down the old runway that Boxcar and the Enola Gay took off from. So yeah, that was probably the one that surprised me the most. Let's see. Have I been okay? So I'm assuming I think this is the Motor Vehicle Museum in Dubois, Wyoming. No, I have not been there and would love to go. See, any plans on celebrating the liberation in Europe? Yeah. So, Gettysburg Film Festival this year. That's where I'll be during the anniversary of VE Day. So, if you are in the vicinity, I just had a Zoom meeting this morning with some people connected with that. If you're around Gettysburg or looking for a cool place to go during the anniversary, yeah, a whole bunch of people will be there, and I'll be there, and yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Let's see. Are you ever going to collaborate with the gentleman from Sidesteps Through History? I think you mean maybe you're talking about Sidestep Adventures Through History. That video was so interesting and so informative. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. So we actually, man, that's been a while back, but we actually we actually did some work together. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, here we go. Let me share this. Share my screen. So yeah, Robert's a good guy. He does a lot of cool local history type stuff there in Georgia. But if you'll go to what's that? Episode 86. Man, that's way back. Way back. You can see an episode that I did with Robert from Sidestep Adventures into History. Yeah, he's a good guy. There you get to see JD with a little less gray in his beard. Okay. Let's see. Good question here. Greetings from Georgia. Oh, hey, Rick. How's it going, man? Have you seen the newly renovated Little Round Top in Gettysburg? Yes, I have. I didn't film anything there, but I went and just walked it for myself. It was really cool. The day that I was there, I got out early in the morning before anybody else was out of bed and went and just checked it out myself. And I think they did a wonderful job there. I really, really liked it. Going to do a video there at some point that shows it. Okay. Let's see. Have I ever been to Russian theater, Eastern European battles? Any chance of videos? Russia's going to be tough for me right now. I talked about that a little bit earlier. It's going to be a little bit tough to get into that one. But yes, I would love to. I'd love to go to Volgograd and St. Petersburg. I've ever been to Indiana, Pennsylvania, hometown of Jimmy Stewart. No, I have not. But I think that the channel Walk with History did a video there. Okay. Let's see. Ever take a step back and think about the amazing places you've gotten to see? Yes, I do. I am very grateful. It's humbling, and I'm thankful that I get to go some of the places I've been able to go, and also to be able to share it with people. Just in the same way that I watch other YouTube channels. I watch History in Your Hand and Vlogging Through History, a bunch of these others, and I see the places that they go, and I'm a huge fan, and I'm glad to be able to kind of see things through their eyes. Okay, advice to help bolster views for a fledgling channel that focuses, I'm about to lose my lid, on travel to historic sites. So I don't want to try and sell myself as an expert on, YouTube or anything like that, or how it works, because heck, I'm still learning all of this stuff all the time myself. Here's a few pieces of advice that I would have that I think has served me well. One is consistency. So I have a super unrealistic expectation that I place on myself, where in general, unless something has gone sideways for History Underground, I'm going to have a video on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now with History Traveler Walking Tours, the other channel, there's going to be a video every, within reason, Saturday. Now, there are times that kind of goes sideways, and I don't hit that mark. My wife has told me, she's like, JD, you there's nothing that's holding you to this. Like, you don't have to release a video on these days. But that is an expectation that I've placed on myself, and I try and hold to that. Now, that's a pretty aggressive tempo, and there are times in the year where I'll back that off, and I'll just release a video on like Sunday and Wednesday, which may be coming up, sooner rather than later. I may have to ease back on that a little bit, just to, just because it won't have the content. But anyway, I think if you can be consistent, if you can release one video a week, or if you can release one video every 2 weeks, I think that is going to something that will help you. Um, and also do it because you love it. When I started making videos on YouTube, listen, I had like nobody was dumber when it came to YouTube than me. Like I had no idea how any of this worked. I did it because my students told me it would be a good idea. So I started putting videos on thinking that, hey, if other teachers can use this, do like virtual field trip type stuff, yeah, whatever, maybe, maybe. So I did it, not for the views, and not to get a plaque or anything like that. I did it as a means to try and serve others. Was my goal. So I think if you start looking at it as a way to serve others, um, if if the subscribers come, then cool, and if they don't, if 100 people watch your video, dude, that's awesome. Like I don't think I know 100 people in my own life, outside of YouTube. Uh, and another thing, so consistency, doing it just because you enjoy it, and also know that YouTube's a weird animal. I've had videos that I've released that have just been flat. No, like especially in the early days when I started the channel, like nobody watched them. Like maybe my grandma did just to be nice. And then like that video would drop, and then if you looked at it, it would just be dormant for a long, long time. And then I've had videos that have sat with like just a handful of views for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden something happens where the algorithm grabs a hold of it, and it, like on my YouTube studio, it tracks. It'll show me like all the recent comments. So if somebody comments on a video that I released 3 years ago, it'll kind of pop up there, and I'll start seeing comments pop up on old videos, and then I'll go and look at that video, and the growth chart is like flat, 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 flat. Boom, it takes off. So know that when you put out a video on YouTube, it's kind of like planting an acorn or planting a seed. You may not see the growth immediately, but that's not to say that it won't happen down the line. But mainly do it because you love it. That's biggest piece of advice. What countries besides the US gets the most views for you? That ebbs and flows. So Britain is going to be number 2. Canada is also up there. Australia would be another one. Let's see. How often are your kids and wife coming with you on your travel? Not very often, to be honest with you. It's because when they travel, they want to have fun. And going with me is not exactly fun. But they go sometimes. Like my wife and one of my daughters went with me on the Route 66 trip. This is my daughter's mug from the Route 66 trip. Let's see. Why does Elon Musk want you guys to invade our country other than to change the biscuits? Yeah, that's one of the reasons. One of the reasons that the U.S. needs to invade Britain is because you all think a biscuit is a cookie, and it is not. A biscuit is a breakfast item, like a fluffy bread, so that's got to change. Also, the way that you all say aluminum is completely jacked. We got to change that. Let's see. What are some other reasons that we need to invade Britain? Yeah, I'm sure that there are lots of reasons, but those are a few. Biscuits is number 1. Oh yeah, the mushy peas thing. We got to get rid of that. We got to get rid of the mushy peas. That doesn't serve anyone well. By the way, Rob and I are friends, so you don't. I'm not being just a jerk to somebody, and that's kind of picking up on some back and forth that we've had. All right. Oh yeah. Also, we need to We need to get you all driving on the right side of the road because that was completely jacked. Rob was actually with me for part of the time when I was in Britain, and um, that was my first time driving on the left side of the road with the steering wheel on the right side of the vehicle. And there were a few times I think Rob was like preparing to meet his maker. It was probably like driving with a teenager who's learning to drive for the first time. And yeah, it was probably a little bit unpleasant. All right. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, really enjoyed the Route 66 videos. Thanks for coming to Arizona. Yeah, thanks, man. So I'm not a hot weather person. I hate the heat. Man, I loved the desert. I loved it. It was such a great experience. Um, here's another good one. Here, how about coming to Osawatomie, Kansas? Union Captain Reuben Smith's story is interesting. Yeah, I would love to get there, and I don't know if there's anything at Potawatomi Creek. That would be kind of a cool thing to do too. Talking about John Brown. Um, so favorites when you say "dadgum." Uh, so yeah, there's been kind of some funny things. There are things that I say that are just completely normal to me, and I thought were kind of completely normal, at least to Americans, but apparently not. Saying "dadgum" is just one of the things that everybody around me in my area says. Like you hear it all the time. Dang, "dadgum." Uh, Another one, people. I was recently there was a guy out of New York who you'll probably see on a future video. Uh, I think he's from New York, but he said that him and his friends will watch my videos and they have a game, like a drinking game or something, every time I say vehicle. So apparently the way that I say vehicle is different. And I said, "How do you say it?" He goes, "I don't even know if I can say it the way he said it before." He said vehicle or something like that, and I just say vehicle. And apparently that's different. The way that I pronounce things is a constant source of either entertainment or frustration for people. Here's the thing that really gets me. Look, I'm just going to rant real quick. Here's the thing that really gets me about pronunciations is that different people in different parts of the world, even different parts of the country, will say different things in different ways. Okay, and there's sometimes I've said things and I've just outright pronounced it the wrong way. But here I was just going back and forth with Rob here in a bit ago. Both speak English, um, and he says aluminium, and I say aluminum. We're both talking about the same thing. We just pronounce it differently. The one it seems to be like towards Americans that I'm going to complain a little bit here. There seems to be like a prejudice against Americans and the way that we pronounce things, and there's a standard that we are held to that other countries are not held to. So for example, people will rip on me about how I say. Okay. Here's a good example. Berchtesgaden. Okay. Uh, so different German words, and somebody say, "Oh no, you didn't say that right. It's pronounced this way." And I'm like, "Okay." So if I'm assuming that you pronounce everything just immaculately. Do you say Germany or do you say Deutschland? Because Germans say Deutschland. When you go to that city in Bavaria, do you say Munich or do you say München? So people are kind of selective about how they think things ought to be pronounced. Now, again, there's sometimes I'll pronounce things that I'm honestly wrong, but there are some things where there's some um, regional differences, even in my own state. There are some words that we pronounce wildly different. So anyway, um, yeah, yeah. Here's one of my phrases that I use. I think I'm mispronouncing that. mispronouncing that correctly. Yeah. Let's see. Video of the camera falling off the road was entertaining. Here's the thing. I immediately, there was something with, okay, so he's referring to a video that I posted a couple weeks ago where I attached my GoPro to the side of my rental vehicle and it fell off. Um, I I put it back on right after that video, and that dadgum thing, well, there, I just said it. That dadgum thing fell off again, and that time it scratched the lens. So I might have to get a new GoPro now. Oh, look here, somebody's got jokes. Have you hit your head recently? No. Here's the thing though, with me hitting my head. So I'm not really like a clumsy person, but when I'm filming, so here we'll use this as an example. Okay, so when I'm filming, I got my cap on and I'm looking at the screen. So right here, my visibility is limited to what's above my head. And then my focus is all right here. So as I'm going through and filming, if there's some kind of like low ceiling or the bunkers are the worst, that's when I bash my head on something. And it's mainly just distracted walking is what it's from. Another inside joke. Have I ever recovered from the trauma suffered from the crunchy peanut butter? No, I have not. Most interesting person I've ever met on a tour. Man, I don't know. I've met a lot of interesting people out on tour. I would say a lot of the other history creators on YouTube. Like I think all of those guys I've met on tour. So Marcel from History War Cinema, that's an interesting dude. That's an interesting dude. So I would put Marcel up there. Just when you get to talking to him, he's an interesting guy. Rob from History in Your Hand, Sander VK History, Chris from Vlogging Through History. Yeah, those are probably, yeah, the other history creators. Let's see. Is it true that people are still being killed by ordnance left after the Nam War? I don't know about Vietnam. I would assume that that's true. But it is true that people are still being killed by unexploded ordnance today. We're running the Guadalcanal series right now. Guadalcanal is one of those places. So just a few years ago, there were some, I don't know if they were teenagers or in their early 20s, but they went out in the jungle, and I don't think they were really camping, but they made a little cook fire on the ground, and just the worst possible luck ever. These poor people made their cook fire right on top of some unexploded ordnance there in Guadalcanal. I can't remember if it was a 105 millimeter shell or 155. I think it was a 155, and cooked it off. So almost 80 years after the battle, cooked this thing off, and it blew up and killed a couple of them. So yeah, that stuff still exists today. If I could solve one history mystery, which one and why? Ooh, that's a good one. Off the top of my head, well, man, they're both so cliche. It would be nice to kind of close the case on um, the JFK thing and know exactly what happened there, and maybe Amelia Earhart, just off the top of my head. Any Audie Murphy stuff coming out yet? It's going to be a little while, but I am going to get to the south of France at some point, and we'll talk about old Audie Murphy. Ooh, is Chickamauga slated for this year? I keep kicking around Chickamauga. That's, you know, as a matter of fact, I just ordered a couple books, and one of them was on Chickamauga. So that kind of gives you some indication that it's on my radar. I've got my great great grandpa was with the 27th Illinois and fought at Chickamauga. So it's on my list. That battle is so stinking confusing for me that it's so complicated. It's hard for me to get my mind wrapped around it. So I've been to Chickamauga, but that's one that I need to really spend some time with before I go and tackle it. Schindler's List or The Pianist and Why? I got a shallow reason. I'll say Schindler's List, and it's probably just because it had just because of the impact that it had on me. Some people might have watched The Pianist and it had more of an impact. They're both really great movies, though. Let's see. Oh, okay. So, one from Professor Watt. How did you and your wife come to adopt your kids from Ukraine? So a couple of different reasons. So speaking of my kids, I've got one of them who is blowing up my phone right now. Hang on just a moment. Let me answer her because she's about to have a conniption here. Okay, I might have to go back and answer this. Here, let's see. Let me just address this real quick. Sorry. Okay. So, how did my wife and I come to adopt kids from Ukraine? So I'll try and give you the short version here. The decision to adopt was motivated by our faith. I mentioned before, we're Christians. So there's a verse in Galatians 4 that talks about how we are spiritual outsiders, we're spiritual orphans, and God adopts us into his family. So we were compelled to expand our family by adoption out of that. The reason that we picked Ukraine is that we learned that at that time, it was kind of a trafficking hub, and upwards of 80% of the orphan girls who aged out of the orphanage at 16 were trafficked in the international sex trade. So that's what compelled us to go to Ukraine. Went there to adopt one child and ended up with 3, and they are amazing. It's been an experience that has single-handedly taught me more about the gospel than anything else in my life. So that was that was kind of the story of why we went to Ukraine. And there are a lot of wild stories that are associated with that because we were there during a very interesting time. But yeah, God has been good to us. And don't I have a Cyrillic tattoo? Yes, I do. Yeah, right there. So this is the Russian word, which is the language that my kids spoke. Usinovlen, which means adopted. So dual meaning there. Talking about the adoption of my kids, and also that verse from Galatians 4, talking about how God adopts us into his family when we are spiritual outsiders. So, okay. Back to the history. Any plans on visiting Spotsylvania and Upton's Charge? Spotsylvania was one of the first battlefields I ever went to. And yeah, I would love to go back. I want to go back and kind of hit like that 1864, 1865 time period. The best bacon sandwich you ever tasted. I'll tell you what, there was this one time that I was out on the battlefield at the site of the Christmas truce that took place in World War I in 1914, and I hadn't had any breakfast, and I was out there half starved, and this this kind and generous Englishman cooked me up a bacon sandwich and brought it out to the battlefield and fed me when I was at my weakest point. That might be one of the best bacon sandwiches I've ever had. It was Sander from Sander VK History. All right. Um, yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks, man. It's it's part of who I am. Now, I do take some criticism from people when they say, "Man, I thought this was about history. You know, why are you talking about?" I had somebody on the Dadgum Flossenberg video uh, say, "I thought that this was a video. I thought that this was a history channel. Why are you bringing religion into this?" The video is about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was a pastor who resisted the Reich Church and was killed because of because he refused to budge on his religious beliefs and because he was working in the German resistance. How in the heck am I going to tell that story without talking about faith and religion in some way? So, there are people who watch the channel. Some of my best friends are atheists, and that's fine. Um, so, I don't know how you can separate history from religion or from the Bible or from faith. How do you examine and talk about the speeches of Abraham Lincoln or Martin Luther King Jr. Or many others without talking about the Bible that inspired and was integrated into a lot of those speeches? Um, I don't know. So even if you're not a Christian, I think a more robust understanding of the Bible helps to better inform you about history. That's me. So if you're an atheist or Muslim or Buddhist or something like that, yeah, I welcome you to watch the channel. I'm just going to tell the stories, and if you don't agree with, you know, what my personal beliefs are, hey, that's cool. Like I said, I won't name names, but one of my best friends that is in the YouTube history world is an atheist, and he jabs me about my beliefs and being a Christian, and I'll jab him about being an atheist and everything like that, and we're still great friends. So anyway. All right, let's see. Um, oh, thanks, appreciate that. Let's see, where was it? Where was it? Oh, here we go. You have an escape plan from when the Imperial troops enter your base. AT-ATs coming your way. That's in reference to the thumbnail that I used. All right. Yeah, Old West Towns tour. Yeah, that would be cool. That would definitely be cool. On my list. On my list. Let's see. Pull up another comment or question here. All right. So let's see. Have you ever thought about having a Discord server for your community? Man, I I thought about it. The problem is, man, I was slurping. I got like all of my beard now. Um, the problem that, or not the problem, the barrier that I have is I'm pretty much maxed out on social media type stuff right now. So to take on another uh, anything, I just don't feel like I would do it well. and would neglect it. I mentioned Patreon earlier. Those poor people, I feel so bad because I just neglect them to like support the channel financially, and and I'm so appreciative, but like it's difficult for me to manage all of these different things. So I don't know if I can take on another one. I love the idea. Love the idea. Oh man. Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's so here's the thing. Let me address something else here as far as negative comment. Man, I get a ton of negative comments. The stuff that I repost, that is a fraction of what I get on the channel. Now, with that being said, if I go and look at like the data and the analytics for YouTube, it gives you like the percentage of people who liked versus unliked video. I haven't had a video that I've put out that has had less than 98% approval. Okay. So the vast majority of the comments, the vast majority of the interactions, everything like that are positive. The negative ones are hilarious. And the reason that I post them, what am I hearing? Hey. Okay. I just heard this weird noise and like the TV was really loud. I'm sorry. So anyway, the vast majority of the interactions are positive. The negative ones, the reason that I repost that stuff, it's not because it bothers me in any way. There's legitimately not been a single comment ever left on the channel that has ever ruined my day. I will not let a stranger on the internet ruin my day. But I'll repost that stuff because people can, it's amazing how petty people can be over little things. So that's kind of something that I'll do to say, hey, don't be don't be this petty and crazy over little. Don't let little things bother you, and that's a reminder to me as well. So there sometimes somebody will post a video on YouTube, and I'll have a comment all typed out, and then I'll stop and I'll be like, maybe I shouldn't post this. This kind of makes me look like a crazy person. So then I'll delete it and kind of check myself. But anyway, okay. Oh, and then yeah, and then when I post the comment and my response, I'll have people that'll get on to me about doing that, saying that I'm being fragile and whatever. But it's not. Okay, so hey, my gosh, we've been at this for over 2 hours now. This is crazy, and there's still 374 people here. Man, I appreciate you all, hanging out on this snowy day, at least where I'm at, and chatting it up with me. Man, this is such a great community, and I appreciate how supportive everyone is. Yeah, be sure to, the other channels that I mentioned, be sure to go check those out and support them. And for all of them, it's always a huge help if you subscribe and like and leave comments and interact and things like that. So again, hope that that you stay warm and that you have a good Monday. And should have a new video out in a couple of days. New episode of History Traveler Walking Tours that came out today, so you can check that out. But anyway, hey, appreciate you all. Thanks.